I've gotten a question from somebody who's watching my channel, and they are asking what to expect when you're equitating. Here's some tips for what you can expect in your next equitation class. So let's get started. The basic position: eyes should be up, shoulders back, toes should be at an angle best suited for the rider's conformation, ankles flexed in, heels down, calf of the leg in contact. Hi there, my name is Laura and welcome to another video bringing you the best insider tips for improving your riding training and horse show placings. And if you'd like to win more ribbons at your next horse show, improve your riding and training, or just generally like other horsey related stuff, then this is the place to be. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos coming up. So let's get started. Equitation. What is equitation all about anyway? When you put your foot in that equitation class, do you know what an equitation class is? Equitation is simply your riding, your ability to ride, your ability to get around that course of jumps if you're going over fences, and how good you are at doing it. Equitation is judging you. Hunters is judging the horse. So make sure you know the difference. Equitation is about you, not so much about the horse. And if you look at the rule book, the rule book says, and I'm reading here, in equitation classes, only the rider is being judged. Therefore, any horse that is suitable for a particular style of riding, that is hunter, jumping seat, saddle seat, western reining seat, is capable of performing the required class routine, is acceptable. So, equitation is about the rider. And if you're concerned about unsoundness, there is a rule about unsoundness. If your horse is majorly unsound and it's going to affect the way that you ride or your performance, then don't. And we don't like to ride unsound horses as riders, and as judges, we certainly don't like to see unsound horses coming into the ring. But the rule book does say, and I'm reading from the USEF rule book here, it says soundness. Unsoundness does not penalize a competitor unless it is sufficiently severe to impair the required performance. In such cases, the imposition of a penalty is at the judge's discretion. Soundness is an issue, and you should not be riding an unsound horse, but there is a rule for soundness in the rule book, and it says unsoundness does not penalize a competitor unless it's sufficiently severe to impair the required performance. So there you have it. Equitation is all about your riding. Are your heels down? Are your eyes up? Is your back flat? Those type of very basic things are going to be looked at and scrutinized. You are going to be compared to the next person coming into that ring. You are going to be the focus of the attention of the judge and how you are looking and how effective you are on top of that horse. If you're going in an over fences class, the number one thing is your performance. You have to perform properly, get to every jump correctly. If you get a long spot or a chip or add a stride in or lose your striding or slow down or have a refusal, those things are going to be marked against you, and only the people who get a good performance are going to be judged in their equitation. So equitation is all about the rider. BPP. Be prepared and practice. BPP, be prepared and practice. That's the number one thing you're going to have to do if you want to go in your equitation class, is be prepared and practice. And practice correctly. It's no good if you practice riding on the wrong diagonal, riding around on the wrong lead all the time. You have to practice correctly and practice the correct things correctly. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Remember that. And I'd like to commend you. The first step in getting out there and winning at your horse shows is getting information and informing yourself. And rather than playing video games, you are taking the first step and finding out the correct information so that you can win at your next horse show. And that's really important. Being that person that's going to find out and educate yourself on what is required is really important. And the first thing you have to know is equitation is about you, and you have to practice and be prepared. Being prepared is knowing what is being asked of you. So getting the rule book out again. If you're not sure where to start, get the rule book out. The rule book for the USEF, usef.org, has a really good outline of what your position should look like. So that's a good place to start. Get some lessons, get your rule book, take your rule book to your coach or trainer and say, hey, this is what I want to look like. There's really good pictures and a very good description on the ideal position if you're riding hunter equitation, your saddle seat equitation, and your reining equitation. They're all good description of the position that you need. Generally, the rider should have a workmanlike appearance, seat and hands light and supple, conveying the impression of complete control should emergency arise. That's always good to have. Your position of your hands, knuckles at 30 degrees to the inside, slightly apart, straight line, horse's mouth to the rider's elbow. You've heard me say that before, elbow, hand, horse's mouth. The bite of the reins may fall on either side. The basic position, eyes should be up, shoulders back, toes should be at an angle best suited for the rider's conformation, ankles flexed in, heels down, calf of the leg in contact with the horse and slightly behind the girth. Iron should be on the ball of the foot and must not be tied to the girth. I've never seen anybody have their stirrup tied to the girth. So it goes on and has a nice description here. You can see the picture. It's really important that you practice these things and have an idea what it is that the judge is looking for before you even go into the ring. So check the rule book. Lots of tips in there for everybody. The rule book also outlines what you should be wearing. Riders are required to wear conservatively colored coats, which are free from adornment, which in the judge's opinion is overly distracting. So not too much bling, that's what that means to me. Shirts must have a choker, similar collar or a tie. Breeches may be buff, canary, tan, rust, or white. First step to go is to your rule book. And practice. Practice. If you know what the judge is going to be looking for, then practice what those things are. Now, in equitation classes, there are lists of tests that may be asked or can be asked of you depending on your age group and level of ability. And those tests are listed in section EQ 112, and I'm going to go to that right now. EQ 112, and that is the test. So if you're in any equitation class, the judge can ask for certain tests of you depending on your age and level of ability. So a maiden equitation, limit equitation, open equitation, they will all have different tests that the judge can ask of you. So the tests may be performed either collectively or individually, but no other tests can be used but the tests that are listed in the rule book. I encourage you to take a look at this. It's at the usef.org, usef.org, Equitation Division Rules. There are 19 tests that can be asked, and if you're a maiden equitation rider, you can ask test number 1, and test number 1 is a halt. That's the only test that maiden equitation riders may ask. But if you're a junior equitation rider in the ages of 15 and 17, you can ask from test 1 to test 19, and they include riding without stirrups, dismount and mount, change of leads, a simple change or a flying lead change, counter, turn on the haunches. So it's a really good idea that you review these tests if you're going in an equitation, because some of these tests can be asked of you when you're going in the equitation class. One of the ones that's really interesting that can be asked is a judge can question the riders with basic horsemanship, tack and equipment and conformation questions. And I know that one of the common questions get asked, or that at least I ask, is where's the gaskin? Do you know where the gaskin is? Because that's a common question that gets asked in equitation if the judge wants to ask a question. Other things that get asked are how many strides are in a 60-foot line, or if the distance is 36 feet, how many strides would your horse put in there? Those are the type of questions, common equitation, common horsemanship questions that can be asked. So my name is Laura, and if you'd like to win more ribbons at your next horse show, improve your riding and training, or generally like other horsey related stuff, then remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos coming out. Now go use this stuff. Go hug your horse. Go use this stuff. Bye now.